morning, we know that 55 people have died in this fire. Officials even saying they've barely began the process for looking for survivors here. The devastation is overwhelming.
As the soot-covered residents of Maui try to take refuge in whatever safe haven they can find, they can only ponder in bewilderment as to what caused the ravaging fires that have destroyed their town. What could have started the flames that began eating through towns like Lahaina? Now, at least 100 or so people have perished in this tragic event as the city searches for more of those people that are lost in this destroyed city. And as such, those who have been affected by this have a burning need to know why they were caught so unawares by the fires. Along with the rest of the world, these people wonder how the local authorities failed to warn people with their sirens while reeling from the fact that shady investors are trying to use this opportunity to perform a blatantly despicable land grab. What truly is going on in Maui? Was this fire an accident, or is there something more nefarious in this tale? Although tourists should stay at home during this time, we think it's worth joining us as we head over to Hawaii to learn more about these troubling flames. August 8, 2023. Although much is still unclear at this time, reports tell us that the police started approaching neighborhoods to inform them about the fires in the early hours of August 8, 2023. Despite the lack of a proper warning, especially as people have come out to complain that they didn't hear the sirens that they would have expected to hear during such an event, they did their best to evacuate the scene. This is thanks to the fact that the residents of Maui may have already gotten used to the increased rates of wildfire that's been occurring in Hawaii in recent decades. You could point to the brush fire that broke out during Hurricane Lane in August 2018, or the fires that ravaged through former sugarcane farms in Maui back in 2019 to show you how frequent they've been. Despite this, however, the local government didn't really consider these wildfires to be a threat. It's fair to say that you can assume this from their comprehensive emergency management plan, which ranked wildfires as one of the least likely to cause damage to the state. Well, the three fires that are burning through South Maui, Upcountry, and West Maui fires would beg to differ. As of Monday, the 14th of August, the 99-person death toll made this the most deadly wildfire in the history of the U.S. since the Cloquet fire that occurred in 1918 when 453 died in the state of Minnesota. Right now, thousands are still missing, and as time goes on, we fear that even more people would be confirmed as victims to the fire. As with a disaster of this nature, the infrastructural damage is tragic. It is estimated that more than 2,000 buildings were destroyed by this wildfire, 86% of which were residential in nature. It makes you wonder why the state's vaunted integrated outdoor siren warning system, which just happens to be the largest alarm system in the world with over 400 alarms, wasn't used to warn the citizens of Hawaii. What kind of oversight was that? Instead, the local authorities chose to use mobile phones to alert the people to flee for their lives. They'd find that this would prove to be useless because cell service was down. What could have caused the fires? As survivors take refuge, they must still be startled by how quickly the fires spread. After hearing that these flames were moving at speeds of 1 mile per minute, many began to realize that the current climate in the state may have contributed to the spread of this fire. For starters, the state is currently experiencing a severe drought. To add to this dryness, the weather is also scorchingly hot in a year that has seen the temperature rise more than usual. Some speculate that the fire may have been sparked by lightning strikes, but that may be a bit of a jump. The recent explosion of Hurricane Dora is also considered to be a huge player in this tragic event, though it was about 500 miles away from the state because of the 80-mile-per-hour winds that it sent sweeping through Maui. One other theory is that this devastating fire may have been caused by fallen power lines that were still energized. This has some truth to it because one electric stock is currently losing ground in the stock market after they were hit with a class action lawsuit claiming that their fallen power lines were the cause of the tragedy Hawaii just experienced. Although this has not confirmed anything yet, there are videos of these power lines swaying around before falling over. As bizarre as this sounds, similar incidents have occurred in the U.S. The same happened in the town of Paradise when a fallen suspension hook of the nearly century-old transformer tower in the Sierra foothills caused a fire in 2018. As such, although much isn't certain, there are many things that could have led to these traumatic fires. The situation gets even more dire when you learn that despite wanting to kill these wild flames, the firefighters' abilities were severely limited by the lack of water pressure in their pumps. All they could do was watch as the 50 to 80 mile-per-hour winds were sweeping through the city. Grass. Considering how quickly the fast-sweeping fires ran through Hawaii, some have pointed to the new species of grass that was being grown in the area. Currently, about 400,000 hectares of Hawaii is short, dry grasses that are said to have acted as the fuel that these flames needed to spread all over the island of Maui. How did this grass get such a presence in Maui? Well, the simple answer is that after the Dole Fruit Company shut down its 100-year-old pineapple plantation and its 140-year-old sugarcane plantation back in the 2010s, this coincided with the introduction of ranchers and their herds in the state of Hawaii in recent times. These ranchers began planting the fast-growing guinea grass on the island so that they can support their herds. As time went on, the residents of this archipelago would find that this fast-growing grass also had the ability to dry up completely when the dry season came up. Now, as the grass acts as fuel to the ravaging fire, people have also used it to fuel their conspiracy theories, one of which is that planting this guinea grass was a land-grabbing tactic. Conspiracy theories. As you can imagine, the sudden devastation that was inflicted upon Maui has made many to question the nature of this event. Many are certain that this was no accident or freak of nature. Somebody must have done this. As we alluded to earlier, many have suspected that this is a land grab of epic proportion. This may have been given credence due to the fact that many of the rich residents in Maui didn't suffer any damage to their properties, while others in places like Lahaina did. However, the architecture of these residences may have played a huge role in this. Without any intention to simplify the matter, it seems like the large, spacious properties that were spread out from one another helped diminish the effect of the fire, while the cramped and old buildings in other parts of Maui may have contributed to the spreading of these flames. However, it hasn't helped that these people that have lost their homes are currently being contacted by investors who are trying to take advantage of this situation by lowballing these traumatized people. As the world recovers from this tragedy, we must remember to apply rationality to the situation. Another theory that is going around is that these fires were ignited by direct energy weapons. However, these images can easily be debunked by those in the know. Many of these images that show bright flashing lights over the horizon have proven to be altered photos. One was even the photograph of an exploding transformer in Chile. Moving forward. The truth of the matter is that the way the fire spread and the way the authorities were unable to evacuate its people in time or contain the fire shows that Hawaii was not ready to deal with a calamity of this proportion. Even the notion that those alarms were not set off because they believed that people would have mistaken the type of emergency it was shows that they had not prepared the citizens of Hawaii well enough, and that is despite the fact that they held monthly alarm drills. The failure to maintain the infrastructure in the city is damning as well, and as such, the electric company that failed to upgrade their power lines will have a lot to answer for in the future. However, there are fears that these electric companies would rather deal with the lawsuits than spend the money it would cost to carry out these upgrades. Unfortunately for them, we must all play our parts, especially if we must all play our parts if we want to preserve our planet. With the global climate steadily rising, these fires might be here to stay, and it's a must that we do our best to avoid them. As we console the survivors while mourning those that were lost, this is a warning to the rest of the world to make sure we keep everything in shape. As you can see, it might be the difference between life or death. This brings our video to an end. Our prayers go out to the victims of the Maui fires. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Until next time, goodbye.